Hello friends, welcome back to another video of tips and tricks. So in last video we saw how to install Ansible on Ubuntu server and quickly set up your control node. So in this video what we are going to see is Ansible configuration. So by default we were using etc Ansible host for our host file and Ansible configuration from etc, right? But that is not what is recommended in enterprise. So once you set up your control node, it is not necessary that you are the only one who is using that control node. Rather, it can be multiple people in your team, in your organization who might be using that control node at the same time parallelly to run their playbooks, write their commands using the Ansible, right? So everyone cannot use that same etc Ansible configuration file or the host file at the same time, right? So how to avoid that? So for that, we can use a separate Ansible configuration file, separate Ansible host file, and how we can do that, that is what we are gonna see in this video. Okay, so let's quickly see the content of etc ansible cfg. So if you see here, you will see that everything is commented out. Let's run our command which we wrote in our shortcuts video. If you want to see what no comments is, you can watch my how to create your own commands video. So let's run this and let's run it with the same ansible cfg. So you see here, there is nothing in that configuration file. Everything is defaulted, right? So it is just having all these tags, that is all, right? So we can create our own ansible configuration file at users home directory. So I am right now in home user 1, right? So we can create ansible.cfg here, and we can simply add these lines. Okay, so these are very basic parameters which you want to define in ansible.cfg to work from a remote location independently of the etc. Okay, so if you see here what I am saying, my inventory, it is on my current path and it is named as host. Okay, if you see remote tmp, so what remote tmp is, whenever you run an ansible command or playbook on a remote server, what it does, it uses a temporary file to copy your scripts or any of the commands you run and use that temporary path to do the execution. So when every person is using the same temporary path, it can be possible that your that path is locked to someone specific. So if someone is using tmp.ansible.tmp as their remote location path to execute commands, it is quite possible that the path is locked to someone specific, maybe root or the user who ran that Ansible command for that remote server for the first time, right? And once you try to use that remote TMP, you will get error complaining that it cannot write to that TMP path. So that is why it is always recommended to use your own TMP path. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So I'm creating my own TMP path on TMP directory on remote server and naming it as user1 ansible and TMP. Okay. And then I'm giving the log path. So whatever you are running from your Ansible control node server, that you can log into a file, and if you want to do so, this is how you would configure here. You just need to give a file name in logpath. Okay, so these all will go into the defaults tag. So let's write it. Okay, now if you want to run the same commands which I ran in my last video, let's do that. Okay, so now let's add the servers to our host while in users home directory. So I'll add the same servers here too, Ubuntu 01, Ubuntu 03. Okay, both servers are added here. And if we run that Ansible inventory command again here, it will show us the similar output what it was showing us earlier. Oh, I made some mistake. uh, okay, it is list, not list. Okay, so If you see here, it is showing us the same output, and actually you can run this command with -y option to show it crisp output. So if you see here, all is our bigger group, and then it has subsets as children and ungrouped, and everything is ungrouped here, right? Because we did not made a tag for these servers. Okay, so now let's run the command which we ran earlier again for the ping on both of those servers. Okay, okay. So if you see, it gave us the similar output for the ping command. Okay, and now if you see the ansible dot log file, remember we gave this log path in our ansible.cfg. So if you see this, it is having the same output whatever we ran here, right? It is having the same output written into this ansible.log file. So whatever you execute from Ansible, you would have a record for it in this log file, and that is how you can use it. Okay, and let's look at that TMP path as well. So let's switch to Ubuntu 01 quickly from the server. Okay, and if you see here on TMP, it would have created a directory as user1. See here, it created a directory user1, and it would have .ansible and all that path which we gave uh, as remote directory to use for Ansible. So it is not having anything right now because whatever it runs during the runtime when you execute those commands or when you execute a playbook. Okay, so that directory is created here. Okay, so let's go back to our servers and let's take a look at the ansible.cfg again. So I explained the inventory, I explained remote TMP, I explained the log path too, and these are, like I said, very basic parameters which you would use to use a separate directory than the default etc directory. But still, if you want to use etc, you can do so, or if you want to use other paths too, you can run the same ansible -m ping or any of the commands with -i option, and you can define the host file. So if we want to run it with the ansible host path itself, we can do so like this. Okay, so we are running the command and telling it that don't use the host file which is in ansible.cfg right now here, rather use etc ansible host file from some other path. And there you go, it still runs. So let me just modify this to show the difference because both of the files are having both servers, so it might not be easier to understand from where it is running, though I'm giving it, but just to show you. Okay, so if you see here, I told it to use this path, and this host file is just having one server, and our host file in the current directory is having two servers, right? So if I give it without -i option, see there, so if I give it with the -i option and I give the etc ansible hosts, it ran just on one server. Otherwise, it is using my current ansible.cfg in my present working directory, which is user's home directory, and it is using the host file defined in ansible.cfg. Okay, so that is all I wanted to share in this video. So thank you for watching.